All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It is Monday morning, September the 16th, and this is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. Obviously, we have potential tropical cyclone number 8 to deal with. I'll be running all the information during Coffee Talk throughout the broadcast, but we'll be looking at the satellite data. We'll be looking at the radar data, taking a deep dive on this system as it gets stronger off the coast of the Carolinas and gradually comes ashore. We'll be discussing the impacts from this system, not only in the Carolinas, but also here locally. And of course, we'll have our local forecast and deal with the whole, what's it going to do today? Plus, the tropics getting a little feisty downrange. Love that for us. A lot to talk about on Coffee Talk this morning, and I just want to thank you for hanging out with me on a Monday morning. Let's start off before we even get to the tropics and any of that other gabagool, as Manolfi would say. He doesn't really talk like that at all. But let's look outside. Low cloudiness over Epcot and the World Center. That's our tower cam network down that direction. Let's head over to the Orlando International Airport. A little higher cloud deck, but still kind of clouded in downtown Orlando. The cloud deck is breaking apart little bit by little bit. I had a flight for like 9 o'clock this morning. I don't think I'm going to go. I just don't think there's a need for it today. Low clouds, blah. All right, let's look over to Tavares, see what's yeah, you can definitely see that cloud deck there. So anyway, that's where we're at this morning. Okay, let's talk about first off visibility. Spell it out, Burris. Here's the visibility numbers around Central Florida. So this is surface visibility. So notice Orlando's at 10 miles, Sanford's at 10 miles. The lower spots are in like Wildwood and Palm Coast. So that's like right at the surface. The problem today isn't that. The problem is the low clouds, the ceiling. All right. So ceiling, the ceiling, very creative. The cloud ceiling, 700 in Orlando, 700 in Sanford, 500 in Daytona Beach. So it's that cloud ceiling that's giving us that kind of gray feeling. And for me, being a VFR only guy, visual flight rules, I need 1,000 feet legally. I'm not, there's no need to like get into the challenge of it, right? But you can see. So all of these areas with numbers there are lower than I think I put 1,500 is if it's greater than 1,500 it doesn't show up. So anyway, you get the idea. So that's kind of where we're at. Low clouds this morning across many Central Florida locations. Okay. Is that causing flight issues over at Orlando International Airport? Happy to say, not really. There are 8 delayed flights. That's not a big deal. All right, over to First Warning Live Doppler radar. Radar has been quiet for the most part this morning, though there are a few showers here sneaking into Flagler County. Let's come in around Palm Coast, right at the beach. Oh, yeah, frustrating little downpour. Right there in Palm Coast, Marineland. There's Hammock Beach. All of my friends over there at the resort enjoying some downpours this morning. Temperatures out the door in the 70s. It feels pretty nice if I'm honest with you. Forecast for we've got the little inset box. So we go to the half screen version. Forecast for today showing the mostly cloudy skies to start, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Notice we'll ramp up to about a 30% coverage of storms. It's not going to be a ton, but we are going to have a little bit of rain to deal with, okay? High temperature around 90 degrees. Let's look at the actual forecast high temperatures around Central Florida. Upper 80s, lower 90s. There's nothing crazy here. When we look at the rain coverage for today, it thankfully isn't all that high. As far as the futurecast model goes, let's take a look. So obviously lots of clouds this morning. We'll roll through time 10, 11, 12 o'clock, a few showers or so. And then into the later afternoon, we can kind of see where things are going to get perhaps even a little feisty south of town. But, it looks like kind of late day showers, 5, 6 o'clock, and then 7, 8, 9 o'clock, getting into some of those storms further south. So that's kind of where we're at today. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it's going to be too feisty of a day, but we do have that 30% coverage of seeing showers and thunder showers, okay? really great day if you're heading out to the theme parks. Magic Kingdoms open up from 9 to 10. And yeah, I mean, a couple of scattered showers, maybe even a few thunder showers later on, but really doesn't look to be too bad at all. All right. Sound good? Any questions, comments, concerns? We looking good? Feeling good? Yeah? He said feisty 3 times. Thanks for pointing out my crutch phrase, apparently. All right. So we're looking good here today, this morning, across Central Florida, blah de blah de blah. Beach boating forecasts getting rough. Now, this is where we go from local to the tropics because the seas and surf are building. I see Brian's heading out on the cruise. Be well, my friend. What room am I in? Take a picture of my room because you're going on Utopia, right, Brian? If you're going on Utopia, you need to snap a picture of my room because that's where I'll be in 2 weeks, as long as the tropics don't get feisty. Said it again. That one I did on purpose. Uh, what's my room? Is that all right? All right, Brian? I have to look it up. I don't have it in front of me. I'll figure it out. Anyway, notice seas are building, right? 4 to 6 foot seas. So things are getting choppier and choppier. All right, Brian, where am I going to be? 14,690. Take a picture. All right. So why are things getting choppier and choppier? Well, because we actually have a developing tropical system. This is potential tropical cyclone 8 off the coast of the Carolinas and starting to develop, trying to bubble, trying to get stronger. The wind field is already there, right? Thank you, Stephanie. Oh, Brian. All right, deck 9. There you go. So the wind field is already there. Before we go any deeper, let's just discuss a couple of things. What is a potential tropical cyclone? I've had a lot of people say, like, I didn't realize cyclones were here. I totally get it. So here's the deal. I wish we just called it potential tropical system 8, because that's what it is. But the database does what the database does, and so I'm stuck with that vernacular. So anyway, think of it as a potential tropical system. Okay, so why do it in the first place? Because when I was a kid, it was tropical depression, tropical storm, hurricane. So why did we invent this potential tropical system vernacular? This is why. Because the Hurricane Center said, well, what if a system is trying to develop near the shoreline, hasn't developed yet, and because of that, we can't get watches and warnings out because it's all about how their databases work. And so they said, well, the only way to get watches and warnings out is by starting to forecast for it. So that's where this came about. So potential tropical system essentially is still a non-developed system, but it allows the National Hurricane Center to issue watches and warnings and to issue forecasts. So that said, there are tropical storm warnings in effect from about Seabrook Island area in South Carolina all the way up through Charleston, all the way up through the Grand Strand and Myrtle Beach, through Oak Island. There's Wilmington, there's Topsail Beach, Morehead City, right up to just south of Hatteras, Cape Hatteras there, near Cedar Island. So there are tropical storm warnings in effect. Tropical storm warnings for our friends that live that direction. Tropical storm warnings mean that tropical storm conditions are expected. And as a matter of fact, the system is already producing tropical storm force winds. Okay? Cindy says, I thought that was the point of invests. No. So invests is a way to tag a system to run computer models. Potential tropical system allows the Hurricane Center to start issuing forecast cones and to start issuing watches and warnings. And in this case, potential tropical cyclone 8, potential tropical system 8, is trying to become a tropical storm before landfall. So here's the forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center, okay? This afternoon, expected to become a tropical storm, make landfall, and then quickly weaken. Okay? The next name on the list is Helene. So if this becomes a tropical storm, it would become Tropical Storm Helene. The good news is it doesn't have a ton of opportunity to really develop. And frankly, if it were to develop, and I'm just going to read the data right from the National Hurricane Center here, okay? I'm going to read the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to zoom in and show like the squally, crummy weather is already beginning for our friends there, okay? So, the Hurricane Center at 5 a.m. says tropical storm conditions are expected along portions of the coastlines of South Carolina and North Carolina within the tropical storm warning area through this evening. The system will bring the potential for locally considerable flash and urban flooding and minor river flooding across southeast North Carolina and northeast South Carolina through tonight. There's also a risk of isolated flash and urban flooding across much of the mid-Atlantic region through Wednesday, and coastal flooding and surf advisories, okay? So that's kind of where we're at. The strong winds are already spreading. You can see these bands are already feeding through. And so let me do a couple of things here. Going off script. Data set. That's buoy. Hold on. We have so many little buttons and Satran. Does this one have the wind gusts? Of course it does not. Hold on a second. Data sets. Data set tropical. Does this one have all the gusts? It does not. See, when we get our new graphics package, I'm going to need to clean this up. Radar, gusts. Okay. This isn't going to be pretty, but it is what it is. All right, give it a second. Give it a second. I'm going in. Going in, boss. Okay, if I do that, set gusts, and I put you there. Okay, so now if I hit you, and then I hit you, see, this is what we do off air. Okay, perfect. All right, so recent gusts. So let's just come up here. We're tapping into ships, we're tapping into buoys, that kind of thing. So clearly, we're already getting into, that's Florida, that's buoys. Yeah, okay. All right, so anyway, we're starting to see those gusts. And if I switched over from Florida, let's just add, this is Florida, let's add to this. Let's add North Carolina. Let's add all of those sites. And can I add South Carolina? Perfect. All right. I'm killing the computer. Go get the data. Okay, perfect. See, now we got it. All right. So, perfect. She's dying, Jim. But you can see, these are recent gusts. 30, is that 43 miles an hour right there on the border? Right? So you've already got some decent gusts in here, and that's going to continue to overspread. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at right now with the storm system. Okay, if this were to develop, I would suspect that we would end up with a subtropical system. And we've talked about this the last couple of days, but the difference between a tropical and a subtropical system, tropical feeds only off the ocean temperatures. A subtropical system kind of feeds off of ocean and upper level energy. So to that point, I would say that the winds are kind of removed from the center a little bit. And this is, to me, this is kind of the bigger thing, like a wider wind field. I would suspect that this has the potential to become that. So at any rate, that's kind of where we're at. Squally mess of a system. Winds are getting worse for our friends here through the Carolinas. We'll see if it gets going, all right? Okay, so that's where we're at. In terms of flooding concerns, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big concern for our friends there. Flooding, flash flooding, even likely right on the South Carolina, North Carolina border, going all the way up through Wilmington. And then beyond today, looking at tomorrow, that threat spreads into our nation's capital, right through about central Jersey, Asbury Park, getting over to Atlantic City, over to Norfolk, and even out into parts of the Smokies. So that's where we're at. All right. Sound good so far? Okay. Questions, comments, concerns about PTC, potential tropical cyclone, or potential tropical system, which I prefer better. Yeah. Would they still name it if it's subtropical, Cindy? Absolutely. Yeah. They do name subtropical systems. All right. In addition to this, we of course have Gordon way out in the middle. It's a tropical depression, thankfully not a threat to us. Forecast to stay a depression for a couple days and then kind of making a right-hand turn, and by like this weekend becoming a tropical storm again in the central Atlantic. All right. So that's where we're at right now. Questions about what we just discussed? Otherwise, we can move on and look at the models and kind of get an idea of things. Okay. Karen, my husband wants to know if you are building hours when you fly. Yes, I'm also working on my instrument rating. So it's all tied together. But I'm not going to the airline. Tell your husband I'm not looking for a career in the airlines. So I'm not like firing on all cylinders to get to that 1500. Cheryl says family in South Carolina and North Carolina will alert them. Yes, just let them know. I'm sure that they listen. This is the radar this morning. Like I've got to believe they've got somewhat of an idea that something's happening, right? Gordon, when you order a tropical storm from Wesh.com. Not Wish, Wesh. Wish is up in Indianapolis. All right, so that's potential tropical system 8. I would suspect that this probably becomes a storm 11 a.m., something to that point. All right. So it's safe to say Florida won't have any hurricanes. Not today. It's not safe to say that for the entire hurricane season. Still a lot of hurricane season to go. You know? And to that point, let's take a look at the models, shall we? Cats, tats, and gats. I got you. All right. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it, buddy. All right. Let's take a live look outside at the models now. All right, this is the American GFS model. And for those of you that are new to Coffee Talk, we've got about 1,000 people this morning watching on our various platforms. So first off, thank you for watching. For those of you that are not familiar, we do a real deep dive on things. What are you being ignored, Mike? I'm sorry, did I miss something? Did I miss a comment, Mike? I'm sorry. Okay, all right. So yes, Denellen is safe for another day. All right, so there is what could become Helene off the coast of the Carolinas. Running the GFS. There's Gordon on the far right side. Nothing crazy. Oh, Mike, winds at Morehead City, please. Driving there shortly. I give all you're asking Morehead City. Let me look. Right now or in the future? So right now, Morehead City is registering winds of 10 gusting to 18. But through the day today, they're expecting gusts as high as like 35 miles an hour. And obviously clouds and rain. Katie, hi, good morning. Let's keep them away. Winter Springs doesn't need a hurricane. No, none of us want a hurricane. 100%. Enjoy your day. I'm having a hard time following, just not working. Oh, I'm sorry, Karen. We'll try another day with you. It's okay. You've only missed 9,999 comments. I've been talking the trial. I'm doing the best I can. All right. So this is the GFS. After that little thing, first off, like it keeps wanting to do other little areas of low pressure off the southeast coast. You see like that little green dot there off the coast of South Carolina? Something there, okay? But watch the Caribbean here. Old front just bubbling, little something trying to form that Saturday the 28th, 29th, 30th. It's trying to figure something out. There's this disturbed weather that should just sit and try to develop something. The GFS is kind of blopping something out east of us. If we switch over to the European, there's what could become Helene making landfall in the Carolina coast. Something like sloppy low over South Florida and then coagulating back over to the Carolinas. The European AI model. Developing something near the west end of Cuba. Riding along the Yucatan Peninsula, becoming something of a beast, and then just sitting in the Gulf of Mexico. Don't like that, any of that. And so, yeah, and then let's look at the Canadian just for fun. Oh, God, well, that's quite a last freeze frame. Rolling through time, broad low pressure, big low, and then something coming in around like Tampa. Okay. So that's fun. All right. So anyway, suffice it to say that some of these models are showing something. Now we've been using the ensembles, so let's come over to the ensembles. And for those of you that are new to Coffee Talk, the ensembles are basically like this is the American GFS. And it's just a way to look at different versions of the GFS. There's 30 different ensemble members. So what we could do is we could like look at number 16. That's quite a low there on ensemble member 16. Anyway, you can look at it this way, or you can plop them all on top of each other. And that's what we like to do because it kind of shows consistency within even the model itself. So, okay, so we're starting to see around Monday the 23rd ensemble support for development, really around Wednesday the 25th. So from next Wednesday to like next Saturday, the ensembles, at least the GFS, is like, watch this area, buddy. I call this the day after tomorrow view, right? Because it looks like there's 45 storm systems when in reality it's just different members overlaid on top of each other. But the more stuff you see, the more it really needs to raise our eyebrows. So I would say next week. It's early, but next week, let's be watching. Okay? Now, before we go any further, let's just check on one thing here. And you know where I'm going with this. If you've watched Coffee Talk for a while, you know we put out a long-range hurricane season forecast. And if you've watched Coffee Talk for a while, you know this part of the pattern is something we discussed on March the 1st. We called it the Gulf to Carolinas low because I've got that little box there. I'm going to slide this view a little bit. But those are the hot spots. This was a part of the pattern where essentially we had observed an area of low pressure kind of forming, impacting the Gulf Coast, moving out, and then impacting the Carolinas. This was what formed Debbie a couple of weeks ago, right? So June, it was a storm system that did not go tropical. That August window was Debbie, and then that September 20th through the 28th time frame is what these ensembles are supporting. Okay? And again, that's September 20th through the 28th. Let's pop up the ensembles again. September 20th through the 28th. There's the 23rd, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. So it's in that window. That's the GFS. Let's switch around. Let's look at the European. There's the 25th, 27th. So there's definitely ensemble support for the GFS. There's definitely ensemble support for the European. Let's look at the Canadian ensembles. That's the 23rd, 25th. Yeah. So let's watch close to home. Just like the Carolinas are dealing with a bit of a homegrown system right now, this part of our long-range hurricane season forecast recycles back September 20th through the 28th. So next week, we're going to need to watch very, very closely, okay? And by the way, if you have any questions about our hurricane season forecast, you can always get the updates I say updates. I'm not touching it, but you can always get the hurricane forecast. Wesh.com/hurricane forecast. You can always get that information. William's asking, will Denellen get hit? This hurricane get weak. This hurricane get weak. Hold, let's watch. Okay. All right. Inconsistent, but Tampa Bay and Nature Coast at risk. Too soon, but not looking good. We've got a ton of time to watch. I'm just going to, at this point, say, let's watch. Let's wait. Let's see what happens. And knowing that the long range forecasting guidance is there, let's watch. Okay. Cats, tats, and gats. What date are you supposed to be leaving on the cruise? That Friday. So as long as the leaving the 27th. So as long as whatever happens before that, I'll be okay. Eric says, "How about those nights?" Oh yeah. I'm wearing my night shirt for that reason. One of my UCF shirts. For that reason, absolutely. How about those nights, man? Oh man. Which also, like, I booked the trip and then realized that was the Colorado game, so I need to sell my Colorado season tickets. So anyway, I'm not too concerned, but 2 years ago, we know what happened. Well, agreed. And I would just add, and this is just one of those like ironic ironies. So we've got potential tropical cyclone 8. You've got that in the bottom corner of your screen, right? If that is named, that would become Helene, which means theoretically, just rolling through, if Helene is in the Carolinas and then the next thing to watch is down in the Caribbean, that would be the ice storm. And I don't know what it is, man. Those daggum ice storms. Why they love Florida, why they love to develop, why they get nasty, whatever you call it. It is what it is. I'm just pointing it out. I'm not, he's hyping. No, he's sitting laughing because what else are you going to do? You know? It's like 10,000 spoons when all you need is the knife. So anyway, we'll see. The story here is we'll see. Still too early to get into any kind of energy lost on anything other than let's just watch, wait, and we'll see. All right, so there you go. 7-day forecast. Rain chances staying nice and lowish next couple of days. And then late this week into the weekend, some storm chances starting to rise once again. I was waiting for you to fall backward in your chair. That would have been peak content. I know. No, this I would have hit my head on the wall before that happened. Although I will say, like, my chair is actually falling apart. The fake leather coating is. I really need to get a new computer chair, but I'm somewhat cheap, so I spend money on like flying. I do not spend money on things like computer chairs. So I think at this point, though, I need to buy a new computer chair. This is just not working anymore. So I'll have to go do that. I still would have laughed, but then sent you a message asking me, okay, yeah, I get it. And then it would have gone viral and then everyone would have been like, oh, he was trying to do the forecast, but he messed that up almost as much as leaning back. Oh, boy. Yeah, Lucas, I don't disagree with you, buddy. I don't disagree with you. All right. Computer chairs, cheap qual. I know. I know. All right. Questions. Oh, see, I didn't even think about it. IKEA that chair and get some meatballs while you're at it. I like that. I like that idea. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, my friends? Anything at all? Jessica's asking, will we get... I will forever call Ensembles Channel 99. You know, Skylar. You know. You know. It's not just me. You know. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Don't go freaking out about anything at all. We'll just watch and see. How long before the dew points get closer to 70? Man, it's just gross right now. That's all we've got. Flight weather to Atlanta. You know, probably Probably pretty good, I'd imagine. I mean, I haven't looked at any like detailed stuff, but with the tropical system off the coastline, maybe a little bit of wind. Here, let's look. Oh, it's surface. Okay. Yeah, I mean, going to Atlanta, yeah, you're pretty good. Yeah. All right. Sound good? Sound good? I'm with you. Buy a cheap. I'll buy another cheap computer chair. Yeah. My husband duct tapes his chair. I probably should do that just to get. If I put duct tape around it, then the fake leather would stop coming off. All right, people. It's 8:30. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out for coffee talk. I will see you tomorrow morning. That sound good? All right. Be good. Take care. Bye.